Hi, everyone. I'm Kay Wyma. I am so humbled and thrilled to be able to get to share on the lead platform. So, thank you so much for that. A little bit about me: I'm here in Dallas, in beautiful, sunny Dallas, Texas. I have five children. Their ages are 24, almost 25 to 14. And so they asked me this question: how do you make kids a priority and build meaningful relationship with heavy workloads and schedules? And gosh, what a great question. I feel like in my career, I've had a lot of interesting opportunities. One of them was at the White House, where I'm just telling you, I was definitely the low man on the totem pole. But in that environment, which really was the epicenter of power, it was an interesting totem pole to be on. Especially one of my jobs was a lead advance, which I had the great privilege of traveling a lot of places in the world to be able to represent our great country as we visited, as the leaders of our country visited those nations and, gosh, all the states. So next, after that, I was with Bank of America, which was then, it was Nations Bank when I started working for them, as they gobbled up so many of the banks during that period of the banking industry, which was sort of the epicenter of competition. Okay, and then I became a mom and decided to stay at home, which eventually I became a writer. And I have to tell you, I was thinking about what determines that platform and that environment. I really was like, it's the epicenter of performance. And so, how in the middle of all these things with their pressures, how do we deal with it? How do we maintain our relationships? How do we allow ourselves to walk alongside children, which have been, just such a gift from the Lord? And as I was thinking about it, I think a lot of it centers on what Lead is so kind to share from my latest book called The Peace Project, a chapter on mindsight, and which goes towards mindfulness. Mindsight, we kind of joke, is not 2020, because what you're seeing in your head often is different than what's happening. And that's why I think it's so important to be able to do what Scripture so kindly encourages us to do, and that is take captive our thoughts and make them obedient to God. But what we've learned, even through, gosh, so many years of doing this, and just all these epicenters, whether it's power, whether it's competition, whether it's performance, which is a lot of what we look at when we're parents or just looking at our kids. It seems like the key to it is where our mind and our thoughts actually reside. And the thing that we've found life in is hitting home the simple truth that's so hard to grasp and to actually own. And that is that our identity has been determined and our worth has been declared. And I think one of the greatest keys to be able to having healthy relationships, either with our children, our family, or with friends, is leaning into those facts, so that in any one of those capacities and any one of those epicenters, our worth and our identity is never determined by achievement or determined by outcomes or determined by, gosh, with my kids, like what team they're on, what friend group they're in, any type of a group, because all those things change. And so to be able to lean into this, which I know we know, like I know we all know this, that our identity has been determined by the one who says you are mine, by the one who says you are a masterpiece, by the one who calls us a treasure, by the one who declares us and says that our name is sought after with a capital S and a capital A. And our worth is like beyond anything that we could imagine. Barry Black at the prayer breakfast a few years ago told such a beautiful story of himself as a child and growing up in the inner city. And his mother used to make them memorize Bible verses and would give him and his siblings a quarter for every Bible verse that they memorized. And it had a significant impact when he reached to a verse in First Peter that basically said the worth of an object is what someone is willing to pay for it, which we can all agree to that. The hardest part is when we put ourselves in that equation. And he says, for a little kid in the inner city to actually realize that his worth, that the Lord declared it so great that he gave his only begotten son. And they gave everything for you and for me. And to be able to live in that, like every day, to be able to walk in our life in the beautiful giftedness that you've been given, whether it is as a speaker, whether it's if it's as a teacher, whether it's as a writer, or just simply purely a phenomenal leader, to be able to lean into that purpose, to be able to lean into that giftedness, to be able to do that toil every day, whether there is achievement, in the high, like in the Paul, I've learned the secret of content, whether in plenty or whether in want, whether it's in all the plenty with the accolades and the acclaim or whatever comes with it, or whether it's in the want, when you feel like nobody is actually caring much, and whatever you have to say, really, it doesn't even need to be said because somebody else is saying it, or whatever it is, in any one of those capacities. The secret, I can do all things through him who gives me strength. And there goes this mysterious aspect that has just, been on repeat in our house, is that it really isn't by our strength. And when we feel like it is, when it's heavy, when it's hard, when things are pelting us in the face through social media of all the ways we have to measure up, and we start to lose our breath because really we just want to do it just out of respect for what the Lord has given us and just to do our best. But rather than let all those measurements and those levels to which we feel like we have to achieve, whether never letting them have more of a voice than is warranted, and doing what Solomon declares in Ecclesiastes, that is actually the gift of God, is simply enjoying it, just enjoying the ride. And to me, I think that's actually the greatest thing we can do to be able to build relationship, because then it gets our eyes off of all the doing and the being and puts it on the people that are walking alongside next to us. And I think it's there that we can, in wholeness, with our significance settled, actually be able to see and care for the people that are walking alongside us. And that's where I think life is. And maybe even being able to see the one in looking back in the mirror and appreciate a little with what's going on there. So it's nothing you don't know, and certainly something I need to hear. So I hope that's an encouragement to you today. And thanks for sharing a few minutes with me. And thank you to the lead folks. I really appreciate it.